Hello and welcome here to another edition of Husker Online live chat. As yesterday we went in depth with new quarterback transfer Casey Thompson. There's going to be a lot of newcomers in spring, and everyone's interested in the quarterback. But I'm going to tell you the next guy that's going to join us here on Husker Online chat. But before we get to that, I to make sure I do our sponsor here. This interview is brought to you by Sandhills Global, powered by ABM. But let's get into our guest, Brian. Is it Buschini? Did I get that right?
Buschini.
Buschini. Well, everyone's excited about quarterbacks, Brian, but you're the FCS Punter of the Year from
I
Montana.
am.
You transferred to Nebraska here after a great career at Montana. First of all, welcome to Nebraska. I'm sure you're just trying to get your legs underneath you here as you transition your life to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I couldn't be more blessed. God has blessed me with so many things in my life, and the next step on the road is here in Lincoln, and I'm super excited.
Well, we're going to get a chance to talk with Brian here in this live chat. And if you have questions for Brian, you can take them on the side here. We have a live chat feature where you can ask your questions to Brian as he transitions here to Nebraska. But let's get more into your decision. I mean, you came from Montana to Nebraska. That had to be a very tough deal because you had a great career there. Montana is a very respected FCS program. Why the jump? What made you say, you know what, I'm going to do this and go to Nebraska?
Yeah, from a young age, have always dreamed of playing at like a really big time school, and Montana has a great fan base and a great stadium, but nothing can compare with Nebraska. And at this moment in my life, I was looking to prove, to people that I could make it to the top and earn a full scholarship. And I got married recently, and earning a full scholarship would really like financially set me up in a better spot. So that was pretty big incentive with that, and I entered the portal. I decided that with Kelly, and we had a lot of interest come in, but I was just, super excited when Nebraska called me because they showed me just how much they wanted me, and it really made our decision pretty easy.
Yeah, how much could you have maybe helped Nebraska at times this year? I mean, there were a couple games where simply a punt, if it was executed properly, they might have won a couple more games this season.
Yeah, I think looking back on the film, it was definitely an area where they had some struggling, but Coach Bush is the new special teams coach, and all the guys seem really really excited for the season and what we can do. And what happened last year, you kind of just got to move on and just kind of hope that things will continue to get better, and we can practice every single day and just try to be better than we were last year.
Well, let's hear more about you. Where are you from originally? Where'd you grow
Mhm.
up? And were you always a punter? I mean, did you play other sports growing up?
Yeah. So I'm from Helena, Montana. I grew up in Montana, was born and raised there, and I did taekwondo before I did football. So I think that's where I kind of developed my strong leg, kind of. And I kicked field goals originally before I decided to switch over to punting about sophomore year of high school. But um, I think punting was maybe a little more up my alley. I started to grow and like physically mature towards my later years in high school, and punting's more straight line power as opposed to, in my opinion, field goal has a lot more technique involved. And I never played soccer, so I didn't really have that background. And I was a better punter than I was a field goal kicker, so it kind of just all worked out together. And I went to Montana and worked really hard when I got there. I developed a ton in Montana, and I'm really thankful for the opportunity I had there and the coaches there for giving me an opportunity. But I just felt like it was time to move on up and continue my career.
You said taekwondo. So what? I assume you're a black belt. What degree
Mhm.
of black belt are you?
I'm a second degree black belt, so I did that for like 6 or 7 years probably, and I think that's where I developed my leg strength.
And your flexibility too, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I continue to need to work on is stretching more.
Well, you look at Nebraska; they've got a history of punters here.
Mhm.
Obviously, Sam Cook in the NFL, Kyle
Mhm.
Larson was an NFL guy. The late Sam Foltz was going to be an NFL guy. Darren
Yeah.
Erstad. I mean, how much are you familiar with just the history of punters that have come out of Nebraska?
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with a lot of those guys. Sam's story is just it's incredible to see how much support and outpouring there was after he passed. Just you can kind of gauge how good of a person he was from that, and um, that's super super tragic. And I've been talking with Sam a lot, Cook from the Ravens, and he's given me tons of advice, and he's been super helpful. And the more I look into it, the more impressed I am with just the strong tradition they've had there at that position. And that's a goal of mine, is to hopefully like bring that tradition back and, bring that specialist field up to that elite level that it once was.
So did Bill Busch kind of connect you with Sam Cook, or did you have another way to kind of get in touch with Sam Cook?
Well, so Coach Busch could have, but I had DM'd Sam back when I was a freshman in college, and he didn't have time to respond. But once he saw that I committed, he kind of reached out, and we connected through there. And we've been talking a bunch since then. I've had like little questions for him about my technique and random stuff like that. And it's been super, super cool. And there's all sorts of guys out there that are just, they're great people, no matter their status, no matter where they make it to, they never, are too good to respond to someone, or, too high fame to waste their time helping out like a high school student or something. So that's something that I would really like, to be able to do someday as well, is just to give back. Cause I know I was once in that position as like a young high school kid, and, getting a response from a guy like Sam would just be absolutely incredible. So, yeah.
So what's your eligibility? I mean, how much eligibility, Brian, are you going to have here at Nebraska?
I have 3 years left. So I just was a registered freshman last season at Montana. So I do have 3 years to play.
Wow. And, is that, did you get a lot of your degree work done? I mean, where are you at as far as your studies go?
Yeah, I should graduate this fall with my bachelor's in criminal justice, but I'm going to kind of transition over to get a master's in construction management and engineering starting next fall. And I think that's maybe more where I want to take my skill set. Going into Montana, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do in life. And, my in-laws, they're big into the building homes and reselling them type area. And that's really just fascinated me. And, talking with my brother-in-law, he's an engineer now in Montana. And I think that's maybe an aspect of life that I want to, explore. And so that's what I'm going to go into with my master's.
We're talking here with new transfer punter Brian Buschini here on Husker Live Chat, as this chat is brought to you by Sandhills Global. If you have equipment to sell it at auctiontime.com, and it's powered by ABM. Nebraska had another transfer from Montana on the roster this past year, Brian. Samori Torre, very talented wide receiver. How well did you know Samori? Did you talk about Nebraska with him before you made your decision?
Yeah, I knew Samori pretty well. I lived with some guys who were friends with him, so he was around a lot when I was in Missoula my freshman year there. And, he came out here and had a ton of success. And, I just heard how much he loved it out here. And I did talk with him a little bit before coming out here about the decision. And, he had nothing but positive things to say. And just seeing him, come out here and do as well as he did, that made me really excited. And, some of the things he told me about it, made me feel like it was the right decision I was making too. And I just, I could not be happier with all the people that God's put in my life in the different places to help me make this decision. It's easy. And, it really feels like the right place so far.
Yeah. 2020 was a rough year. And I know one of the reasons Samori came to Nebraska was Montana didn't play football. Maybe a real limited 1 or 2 game spring or fall schedule. How tough was 2020 for the guys at Montana not to be able to really play a season? I mean, that's a proud program that sells out the stadium. I'm sure that was really a hard deal for everybody up there.
Yeah, it was really hard. And I think it was hard for me in the sense that I had redshirted the year before. And so this was finally going to be the season where I could play, because I hadn't played a game in a while. And then they canceled our season. And, it had been over like 2.5 full years since I'd played in front of like a full actual stadium, not COVID related, this fall at Washington. So it was a long time coming, and it was hard, going to all those off-season, lifts, the winter condo, to do all that, just to have your season canceled is pretty tough.
Taking some questions here. Got a lot of just people very thankful. This one from Ryan says, million fans thankful for this kid.
I appreciate it.
We got another one to comment here that we got a pipeline going from Montana, as two guys now have come up here.
Absolutely.
The last couple of weeks.
I'll say that.
Let's see. Going through the questions here. This one here from Burke. What was your recruitment to Nebraska like? Who contacted you, and how easy was it for you to make the commitment to Nebraska?
Yeah, it was super smooth. So I entered the transfer portal, and a couple hours later, Coach Mossbrucker, the director of recruiting here, kind of called me. and FaceTime me. And, I talked with those coaches probably like 6 or 7 hours that first day. And I was getting contacted by a bunch of other schools and other coaches trying to call me. But, there's something just about different things my wife and I wanted. We were looking for. We were looking for a school in a safe town where, there's a good football program, but there's also like a good amount of churches and good amount of Christian presence we felt in the community where we could really develop our social lives outside of football. And, the real estate market here was strong. We were looking to buy a house, and there's just like a bunch of different types of things that had to line up for me to feel comfortable with a place, where both I and my wife are moving to. And so we felt Lincoln was a lot better than, some of the other places that we were, getting contacted from. And then,
So you're,
pardon?
well, go ahead, Brian. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I just meant the coaches, they put a ton of effort into like facilitating all those things. They were really understanding with the needs that I had and Kelly had. And that meant a lot to us. They really put above and beyond effort into making us feel at home here. And that's been something really special.
So you bought a home in Lincoln already?
Yes, we did. We have a house. It's kind of on the southwest side of town near the racetrack. And it's great. We're moving in Friday and got a lot of paperwork done. And, it's going to be a real exciting transition in our lives.
Well, I've been doing this a long time. I can't say I've ever met a guy that, part of the, looking to buy a home in Lincoln and that part of it. But
Yeah.
how long have you been married, Brian? When did you get married?
Yeah, Kelly's the most wonderful woman in the entire world. We got married October 17th, and there's been some ups and downs, as there are with all marriages. But she's so patient, and she works with me through everything. There's hard times with football, hard times in my personal life, and her patience is just she's a rock in my life, and I could not, give her enough credit for everything she's done for me. And this marriage has been the biggest blessing in my life, and I'm so glad that she was able to come out here to Nebraska with me. And there's a lot of things out here I think she's gonna really enjoy.
So will she work or be a student? I mean, what like
Yeah.
what kind of plan out here?
Well, there's a couple different ways we're going to work through this, but I think she's going to try to get a realtor's license and might go to cosmetology school and then finish school. So she kind of has a bunch of different areas of life that she could go into. She's not entirely sure what she wants to do yet. But she played volleyball back in Montana, and she's stopping her career kind of to come out here with me. And that means a lot to me. I can only imagine, being in her shoes. You worked your whole life to do something. And, for our marriage, she kind of felt like it was best for us to be together and for her to come out here. So she's going to get into, running marathons. Like, she's a super athletic woman. So just for her finding something that's special for her, that was a huge deal for me. And I felt like Lincoln provided pretty good opportunities for both of us to find things we like.
All right. I knew this question was coming since you're from Montana. Are you a fan of the TV show Yellowstone? I can tell you that Scott Frost, your football coach, I know is a fan of that show.
Yeah, I actually have never seen a single episode. They put up their filming trucks on campus and all this stuff. But, I figured since I lived in Montana, I didn't have to watch that show. But I've heard from so many people, if you sit down and you click on that first episode, you'll be hooked. So I think Kelly and I'll have to try it out sometime. But trust me, our lives have been so busy lately. We have had no time for Yellowstone.
Yeah, I bet. So when's moving day for you guys?
Yeah, so yesterday we did a walkthrough, and then we had to contact electrical Wi-Fi companies, and then the builder's going to come back and fix all the little areas we pointed out that needs fixing, and we move in on Friday. So it's been pretty smooth process. I'm living in a hotel right now for the next few days, and she's out here right now too. So it's been nothing short of a blessing having her in my life.
All right, got a question here from Brett. Good question about special teams. Has Brian talked or started working with the long snappers on their chemistry? I know there's a guy coming in from Georgetown.
Yeah, Brady.
And then obviously current snappers on the roster. Kind of what's your feel for the snapper situation?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I've gone out with Brady a few times, and Cade and Witucky and Piper, they're all wonderful guys. And we've gone out a couple times, and we're going to continue to work into that. I've been super busy, and all the mid-year guys have a lot of things they have to get done before we can go out and practice. But, we're starting to use that time that we have right now to go out and work on, our craft together. And, what I've seen, it's going to be very, very good. Brady's a freak athlete. We were testing with some of the other guys, and he's a speedy dude. So I'm really excited for him in that realm too.
Are you a guy that can do it all? Like, do you like to play the wind? What are some of your
Yeah.
tricks as a punter? Because obviously Montana is a cold, windy place.
Hmm.
Nebraska's going to be a place with some wind. On a hot day,
Yeah.
it's going to come out of the south. On a day, it's going to be out of the north. How do you kind of play the wind and just kind of the weather conditions as a punter?
Yeah, I think the main thing with wind is just not overthinking it, which is something that a lot of guys do wrong. It it really comes down to these very subtle differences. So if I'm punting into the wind, I might lower my drop a little bit, just so I can drive the punt into the wind a little bit. And if I'm punting with the wind at my back, odds are I'll just drop the nose of the ball and just try to get it as high up in the air as I can and let the wind push it down for me. Um, where you run into trouble is when the wind's like coming from side to side. You could try to hit turnover balls, if the wind's coming from your right, but the ball probably won't turn over because it'll just get pushed out of bounds. So we just drop the nose of the ball, kind of aim, hash, and the wind will just carry that downfield and to the left. And then if the wind's coming from my left, it's much easier. I just hit a normal turnover ball, and the wind will just assist the ball in turning over essentially that way. So I'm not really too stressed about the wind. Growing up in Helena, it's windy all the time there. It's nothing new to me. So I think that's kind of a blessing in disguise. As miserable as it was kicking in the wind all that time in Helena, I think it'll end up paying off.
Yeah, two questions. What was the worst weather game you've played in, and what's the coldest game you've played in?
Yeah, so the worst weather game I've ever played in, we were playing Sentinel probably. It was like my last game of my senior year of high school, I think. And this was like the windiest game ever. We were punting into like 30, 40 mile an hour gusts of wind. And that was like probably my best punting game of my career. I essentially what they say is like when breezy, swing easy. Like don't try to kill the ball. Just go out there and make good contact. Hit a nice turnover ball into the wind, bounce out of bounds on the 4 yard line, and like it was a perfect punt. So that game gave me a lot of confidence as far as kicking in the wind. And then as far as cold games, I haven't been in too many cold games. I know very early on, like freshman year of high school, we were playing Bozeman, and it was like cold and rainy and like muddy, and like it was just miserable. Um, but there hasn't been temperature wise any super super cold games.
Growing up in Montana, how much did you go to the national parks? That's something obviously everyone knows about, all the parks there. Is that something as a resident you frequented quite a bit growing up?
Yeah, not too much if I'm being honest. I've never been to Glacier, and I've only been to Yellowstone a couple of times. But what a lot of people don't understand is our backyard's pretty much a national park. We had a bunch of acres. We had probably 3 or 4 thousand acres of BLM land right around where I lived, like up in the mountains. And so we'd rip our four wheelers out, and we'd go hiking. You can go exploring. You can go hunting. You can do all sorts of things like right in our backyard. And so we didn't really have a need to go to the national parks because it was so beautiful right where we lived. But definitely, for tourists, the national parks are a cool place to see. But when you're living in Montana, it's a little different because it's so beautiful everywhere you go. You see, you can just drive down this little 2 lane dirt road and find different waterfalls and stuff every day. There's just like a lot of hidden stuff like that there too.
We're talking here with Brian Buschini as we're taking your questions. A lot more questions here. Brett, who asked a question earlier, just wanted to say again, this guy is so well spoken. What a great young man to add to the program.
Appreciate it.
Let's see. We got another one here from Burke. Just wanted to make a comment. It's no surprise Nebraska needs help in our special teams. Was the fact that we struggled so much these past few seasons is a big factor. Was that a big factor in your decision to come here? Just kind of following the struggles Nebraska had, knowing the opportunity you had really to kind of turn things around?
Yeah, I would say that was part of it, but also I've loved Nebraska my whole life. There's one of my dad's best friends as a Facebook post back from 2017 where he posted a picture of me kicking in the snow, and he's like, this man's a future Husker because he's dedicated to his craft. And that kind of came full circle. And I really don't see those struggles last year as motivation to me. I think every season's a new season. I think that us coming into this winter season, we've gotten a lot of talent we've added to the roster, and I just want to help the team win. I don't really care. I could hit 8 shanks and we win the game, and that would be good for me. Obviously, me hitting 8 shanks won't help us win the game, but I don't see last year's guys really kind of motivating me because I got to be focused on my craft and I can't really look in the rearview mirror. But I do want to take this time to give a couple shout outs. The first to my wife, just for how supportive she is, but also to my family. Throughout the years, they've given me so many breaks, so much effort they've put into me. Like my little sister would drive around on the 4-wheeler, shagging my footballs in the backyard, and my mom would come down to the field in the freezing cold temperatures and shag footballs. And my dad and brother would fly out with me to camps, and just my whole family has just helped me a lot, and that's really special. And I haven't really given them credit in the past, so I wanted to take that time to thank them for that now too.
So when you were growing up, did you do all of like the Coles camps and all the kind of typical stuff the punters and kickers do through the recruiting
Yeah,
process?
growing up, I did. I went to the Coles training camps, and I went to a couple sailors camps, and they were good in high school, and I liked them. But now that I got into college, I connected with Coach Matt Thompson of one-on-one kicking, and that has just been an unreal experience. Those guys down there at one-on-one know what they're doing, know what they're talking about. Coach Thompson, Coach Fentress, and Coach McCabe, um, they work with you on a one-on-one basis to get you better. They don't really care about rankings. They don't really care about the money. All they care about is getting you better, and that means so much to me and my family. I send him film like 5 times a week, and he analyzes it. Like these coaches are really heavily involved, and they really care. And so the coaches at one-on-one honestly have been by far the biggest help to me because, Coach McCabe knows what he's talking about. The second I went to him, he gave me 2 little tips with my punting: shorten your steps, and he helped me fix the angle on my drop. The first punt I hit was insane. Like my punting increased. I probably doubled how good I was at punting last summer just from one camp with him. And so these coaches at one-on-one kicking, they have completely transformed my game.
And staying on the technical questions here, great question from Magni, and I don't even know if you have an answer to this because it can always change. What is your goal for hang time?
I think in the game, it's smart to try to stay anywhere from 4.6 to 5.1 ish because one thing I like to do, I love hitting the big punt. I like to kick it as hard as I can, see what kind of hang time I can hit, but that's not always going to lead to the most consistent results because when you're trying to kill a ball, you're usually kind of hitting shanks here and there. So staying 4.6 to 5.1, maybe even 4.5 to 4.9 in there, you're going to get a fair catch every time, especially if you put good direction on the ball, and you can't really complain. I've been watching film from last season's, Nebraska's punt coverage team, and they've got guys that cover super hard. So I can hit a 4.2, 4.3 ball, and it'll get a fair catch because a lot of those guys are screaming down the field, and I couldn't be more excited to, have these guys surrounding me that are, going to go out there and work their butts off, just like the guys back in Montana did. We had some dudes on punt coverage there that really cared what they were doing, and they gave great effort, and it meant a lot to me too.
Got a question here from Natural Born Skur. Wants to know if you picked out a number yet.
I have not. I think towards spring ball we kind of get those, but I'm pretty open to a lot of numbers. I don't really have a ton that are super special to me. I think it'd be cool to be 29, 6 or 4 or 16. I was 16 in high school. My wife was 6 for volleyball, but I as long as I can go out there on game day and perform well, a number is going to become special to me. All it takes is a couple seasons of me wearing that number and doing my job well, and the number kind of gets associated with my name. So I haven't really thought about that too much, and to be honest, I'm kind of accepting whatever number I get.
Now, look in this question here. I'm sure you realize this, but your opening game as a Husker is going to be in Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah.
Is that something that excites you? I can tell you, I've been in that stadium about a month ago. I was out there for a trip for the game.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful venue, grass field. It's about 10-year-old stadium. What are your thoughts of going out to Dublin for your first game as a Husker?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait to get this show on the road. Spring ball is just around the corner, and I've got me, on the edge of my seat. But thinking about, I've gone from this little kid in Helena, Montana, to having the opportunity to play in the first game of the year in Ireland on national television it's kind of crazy to me, and it's also extremely humbling. And I'm just super blessed to be in the position that I am with, God and my wife supporting me. And it's pretty neat to think about, but I also can't let the moment get too big, and I just got to go out there and punt the ball like I am in my backyard again.
Colin has a pretty funny take here. He goes, "How does it feel to know that you're the most popular punter of all time and you haven't even played a game yet?"
Well, I'm just extremely blessed. It goes back to what I was saying. Life's all a part of God's plan, and He's got a plan for each of us. And this is just another step on that road for me. And I can't be more excited to be going through this whole journey with my wife. And she's just a wonderful supporter to me as well.
Got a question here about Coach Busch. What has your relationship been with Bill Busch so far?
Yeah, it's been great. He's a wonderful guy. He really cares about you as a person, and he cares, to get to know the ins and outs of your life. I think we talk more about Kelly than we do about me, and I love that. Let's shift the focus off my punts and onto Kelly. But I just think he really understands that playing football isn't always the easiest thing. There's a lot of time commitments, and he cares about our personal lives, and it's been really cool to connect with him that way. And I couldn't be more excited with him as a special teams coach. He coached Sam back in 2005, I think it was, and they had great net punting average that year. And I'm hoping in the next 3 years here we can set some records.
How many of your teammates have you been able to meet besides the specialist?
Yeah, I've been able to meet quite a few guys. My locker's right next to Garrett Nelson, and he's a super good guy, and I'm just really excited to get to know everyone. I met Nick Heinrich in the locker room, and he's a super good guy too. And the more I'm in the weight room and the more I'm in the locker room day in and day out doing my thing, the more I'll meet the guys. But I've met a couple, and they've been really good so far. And I just couldn't be more excited with the new team I'm on. And I'm really excited to branch out in the community too, and get involved with the church and get involved with small groups and try to have a well-rounded life, and where I'm not just all football and that's all I do all the time.
Well, Brian, this has been a lot of fun. A lot of Nebraska fans obviously are going to get to know you, but this is really the first time I think people have really had a chance to see your face, hear you talk. And that's why I've enjoyed getting to do a lot of these interviews over the last few weeks. And just wanted to say welcome to Nebraska. And I know a lot of people are excited to see you play in that first spring game in April.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And I couldn't be more excited to get out here and just work on my craft and try to get better every day, and do things for the Lord and the way He wants them done.
Well, that wraps it up here for this edition of Husker Chat Live. Once again, we're brought to you by Sandhills Global. If you have equipment to sell it at auctiontime.com, and we're powered by ABM.